Hey folks, welcome back to Powerful Stoic Habits. Imagine a relationship where everything just clicks. You know the type. Late night conversations that go on for hours, stolen glances across the room, inside jokes that make you feel like the world is only yours. It feels perfect, almost as if you're living a scene from a movie, right? Well, guess what? It is a scene from a movie. Because in real life, relationships don't play out with the same neatly tied endings and perfect moments. Now imagine this again. You're scrolling through social media, bombarded with images of seemingly perfect couples. They're laughing, holding hands, on glamorous vacations, living the ideal life together. And you start thinking, why not me? Why can't that be us? Why? Because what they're showing you isn't real. What you're seeing is the highlight reel, not the full picture. Life doesn't go that way, my friends. That picture-perfect relationship is curated for the likes and shares. But it's not the day-to-day reality. But just because life isn't a Hollywood romance doesn't mean it's a straight no to your relationship or love life. The problem isn't with you or your relationship. It's with the lens through which you're viewing it. You have to step back and see the real picture. As the Stoics often remind us, you cannot control other people or external events, but you can control how you react to them. The truth is, you can't force someone to be interested in you, just like you can't script your relationship to be some picture-perfect fantasy. But here's the good news. You can change your mindset, and that changes everything. Instead of fixating on why they aren't noticing you, why they aren't responding the way you want, shift the focus back to yourself. You control your actions, your energy, and your mindset. Think of it like this. People are drawn to energy that's not trying to control them. Just like when you watch a confident person walk into a room, not because they need the attention, but because they simply know who they are, and that energy is magnetic. You're not chasing someone's validation or interest anymore. You're letting them come to their own conclusions. Marcus Aurelius said it best. The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. You can't make someone miss you, but you can become someone worth missing. So stop trying to play a part in someone else's movie. You are not a character waiting for their approval. You are the director of your own story. The minute you stop pushing for their attention, you give them space to see who you really are. And that's when they start to notice what they've been overlooking. Now, back to that image of the perfect couple on social media. It's a facade, a glossy version of what people want you to see. But real relationships, the ones that matter, are built in the messy, unfiltered moments. And if you want someone to miss you, it's not going to be because you tried to control the narrative or forced a connection. It's going to happen when you stop giving your energy away to the illusion and start focusing on becoming your most authentic self. Here's your challenge. Stop scrolling, stop comparing, stop chasing. Instead, drop a comment below with the phrase, "I'm living my truth." Because as Epictetus once said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. You don't need to chase what's meant for you. It will find you when you start living authentically and stop trying to control what's outside your grasp. And now, you might be asking yourself, wait a minute, the title says, make them miss you badly even if they aren't interested. So how does this all fit together? Well, folks, that's exactly what we're trying to achieve through this video, and it's not through chasing them down or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about becoming a true Stoic. But let me be clear, I'm not here to sell you some fairy tale solution like the ones you see in movies or on social media. We do authentic talk here. Let's be real. That's what Stoicism is all about. There's no magic trick that's going to make someone miss you just because you watched a video. What I can tell you, though, is that by adopting certain qualities, true Stoic qualities, you'll naturally start to attract people into your life. And not just anyone, but people who see your value, who respect you for who you really are. But let's not get it twisted. Being a true Stoic is not about manipulating someone into being interested in you. Stoicism teaches us we can't control other people. That's real. Trying to force someone to feel a certain way is a waste of your energy. Instead, Stoicism is about controlling yourself, your thoughts, your actions, your reactions. And that's where the real power lies. If you're willing to take control of your life and start living in a way that makes people naturally gravitate toward you without even trying, then you're in the right place. So, if that resonates with you, if you're ready to transform yourself and build the habits that make people see your true worth, hit that like button under this video, and let's get started with our first transformative habit. Number 1. Kick the fear out. Let's talk about that moment when you're trying your hardest to get their attention. They're just not interested, or worse, maybe you were already in that relationship, and now they seem less interested, or not interested at all. You're probably asking yourself why. What changed? What went wrong? Let me hit you with the truth. Fear is playing a much bigger role here than you think. Fear of being rejected, fear of losing them, fear of not being enough. You feel it creeping in with every little interaction, don't you? It's there when you send that hesitant text, when you second-guess calling them, or when you hold back from speaking your mind because you're afraid of pushing them further away. And let me tell you, fear is not just some big, obvious thing. It shows up in all those tiny actions, in the little things you do or don't do. Fear has a sneaky way of controlling your life, and that's where the problem begins. When you act out of fear, you're not acting from a place of strength. You're acting from a place of desperation. And desperation, it never attracts anyone. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." The harsh reality is this: you can't control them. Whether you're trying to spark their interest for the first time or reignite that flame in a fading relationship, the one thing you absolutely cannot do is force them to be interested in you. But here's where it gets real. You can control yourself. You can control your reactions, your mindset, and the way you live your life. And fear will never be the foundation of a life that draws people in. Fear repels, my friends. It makes you question yourself, makes you play small, and makes them lose interest faster than you can even realize. Now, let me bring it back to something we've all seen. The perfect couple on social media, those love stories in the movies. It's all smooth, all perfect, right? No fear in sight. But guess what? It's a fantasy. You see that flawless relationship and you think, why can't that be us? It's because what you're seeing is a script. It's not real. Life doesn't follow a script, and neither do relationships. Fear sneaks into real life because life is messy. And that's where it's easy to let fear take the wheel, when things don't go as smoothly as we hoped. Fear comes in the form of insecurity, the fear of not being enough, of losing them to someone else, of being forgotten. But here's the kicker. That fear, it's writing the story for you. Every time you let fear control your actions, you're stepping out of your own power. And that's why they're not drawn to you, why they're not interested, or why they're pulling away. Fear makes you hesitate, makes you question your worth, and that energy. It's palpable. They can feel it. They can sense it when you're afraid to be yourself, when you're afraid to make a move. When you kick the fear out, you transform. Fear is what's keeping you in this loop of anxiety and insecurity. And if you want them to miss you badly, whether they've never been interested or they've started drifting away, you've got to kick the fear out completely. The moment you stop letting fear make your decisions, you start living boldly. You start showing up as your authentic self, unafraid of the outcome, and that is what draws people in. Confidence, not fear. Imagine this. You're not hesitating anymore. You're not sending that overly cautious message. You're not walking on eggshells around them, afraid of saying the wrong thing. You're just being you, unapologetically. That shift? It's magnetic. They'll start to notice the change and they'll wonder, what happened? Why are they so different? It's because you stopped living in fear, and people miss the person who owns their space, not the person who's constantly shrinking in the background. And let's face it, fear is exhausting. You're constantly overthinking, constantly wondering what they're thinking, constantly trying to read between the lines. But once you kick the fear out, you stop caring about the lines altogether. You're focused on living, not performing for their attention. And here's the thing, when you stop performing, that's when they start to miss you. Fear is like a fog. It makes everything blurry. But once you clear it out, you see things for what they really are, and so do they. That's the power of fearlessness. When you're not constantly trying to prove yourself, when you're not desperately seeking their validation, you become the person they can't forget. So here's what I want you to do. Kick the fear out. Stop letting it run your life. Drop a comment below with the phrase, "Fear no more," and let the universe know you're ready to step into your power. Remember what the Stoics teach us. You can't control them, but you can always control yourself. So let's start there, because the moment you let go of fear is the moment they start to see who you really are. And trust me, that's the person they'll miss. And folks, that was the first habit you need to adopt, and there are 8 more coming your way. Right now, you might already be feeling that energy shift. Just imagine how powerful the next ones will be. So, stick with me. Kill that creeping thought of clicking away, because what's coming is important. This isn't just some fluff. These are real changes, real habits that will transform the way you show up in the world. And you've got to grasp this fully. So stay with me. I'm not here to waste your time. I'm talking to you. Keep going. Don't let the distractions pull you away. You're here for a reason. Let's make it count. Number 2. Accept things as they are. Now, folks, this one is something really important. In those movies, they show these perfect, effortless relationships. 2 people meet, they lock eyes across a crowded room, and everything just falls into place like some kind of cosmic magic. No misunderstandings, no hurdles, just pure, smooth connection from day one. And on social media, you'll notice the same thing. Couples smiling, holding hands, posting their love like it's the easiest thing in the world. But here's what they don't show you. Real life doesn't work that way. Real life is messy. People are unpredictable. Sometimes they pull away. Sometimes they don't give you the attention you crave. Sometimes they seem like they couldn't care less about what's going on between you. And here's where the second habit comes into play. Accept things as they are, not how you wish they were, not the fantasy version of reality. You've got to face life head on and accept it for what it is, not for what you want it to be. Let's face it, how many times have you been stuck in a cycle of if only they liked me more, if only they saw what I bring to the table, if only they acted like they did in the beginning. That if only mindset keeps you stuck. The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. As Marcus Aurelius said, what's outside your control? Them. Their thoughts, their feelings, their behavior. You can't change that. But what can you control? Yourself. And that's what Stoicism is all about. You are in charge of how you respond to life, not how life responds to you. Here's the thing. Accepting things as they are isn't about giving up. It's not about settling. It's about seeing the situation clearly, without your emotions clouding your judgment. It's about looking at the reality of your situation and not trying to force it into the mold of a romantic comedy. You don't control the narrative here. You don't control them. But you do control how you handle the narrative that's playing out in front of you. Let's take it a step further. Imagine you've been chasing someone for a while, trying to get their attention. You're bending over backward to make them see your value, and yet they're just not giving you what you want. The you that's still caught up in the movie script version of life keeps thinking, if I just do this one more thing, maybe they'll come around. But the you who's learned to accept things as they are understands something deeper. Sometimes people aren't meant to fit into your life the way you want them to. Sometimes the reality is that they're just not interested, and no amount of chasing, persuading, or impressing is going to change that. This isn't about giving up. It's about giving yourself the freedom to stop trying to control what's out of your hands. Accept it. Accept the fact that they might not feel the same way you do right now, and that's okay. It doesn't diminish your value. Your worth doesn't come from someone else's validation. It comes from how you see yourself, from how you act, despite what's happening around you. Remember, people are drawn to those who are grounded in reality, not caught up in wishful thinking. When you're constantly struggling against the current, trying to mold the world to fit your fantasies, you come off as desperate. And desperation, it pushes people away. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Craving what isn't real, what isn't happening, makes you poor in spirit. You've got to stop craving a reality that doesn't exist and start embracing the one that's right in front of you. And here's the twist. When you accept things as they are, you become more powerful. Why? Because once you let go of that need to control everything, you're no longer at the mercy of their actions. You're no longer waiting for their next move to decide how you feel. You become more you, more present, more focused on what you can actually change, yourself. Think about it like this. Have you ever been in a situation where someone's chasing after you, trying to win you over, but they just can't accept the fact that you're not interested? How does that make you feel? Exactly. It's off-putting. But the moment they stop chasing, the moment they step back and start living their own life, suddenly you start wondering about them. You're intrigued because they're no longer trying to control the situation. They've accepted it, and that's attractive. That's what you need to do. By accepting things as they are, you free yourself from the constant anxiety of trying to control someone else's feelings. You're not waiting on their next move to dictate yours. You're not hoping for them to suddenly change and become the person you want them to be. You're living in reality, not fantasy, and that shift in energy is magnetic. When you're comfortable with life as it is, without trying to force it to be something else, you radiate confidence. Man conquers the world by conquering himself, as Zeno said. And that's exactly what you're doing here, conquering the need to control what's out of your hands. So here's your challenge. Accept things as they are. No more illusions, no more daydreaming about what could be. Drop the comment, "I embrace reality," below if you're ready to step into this mindset. Let the universe know you're done with fantasies and ready to embrace reality. Because when you accept the truth, you take control of your life. And that's when everything starts to shift. Now that you've learned to accept things as they are, it's time to move on to a habit that will completely shift how you approach relationships. This next one is about taking your best shot without getting attached to the outcome. Trust me, once you master this, you'll not only feel more empowered, but they'll start seeing you in a whole new light. Stay with me. Number 3, do your best and let go. Now, in those movies, they love to show this dramatic spiral when someone gets rejected. The character becomes desperate. Maybe they start drinking, their life falls apart, and they're a complete wreck. Then, in some predictable twist, the other person sees them in that sad, broken state, suddenly realizes they still care, and boom, they run back into their arms. How convenient, right? But let's be real, that's not how life works. In real life, desperation doesn't pull anyone in. In fact, it drives them further away. No one is attracted to someone who's throwing a pity party, waiting for a miracle to happen. Here's the truth. The only thing you can control is how much effort you put in, not the outcome. You can't force someone to feel something, no matter how hard you try. That's why the third transformative habit is this: do your best and let go. Stoicism teaches us to focus on the things within our control, our actions, our thoughts, our effort. Epictetus said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish for things to happen as they do, and you will be serene." That's the mindset we need to adopt. You can only control your best effort, and once you've given it, the rest is out of your hands. And that's where freedom lies. Imagine you're trying to win someone's heart. You put in your best effort. You show kindness. You're genuine. You're fully yourself. You've done everything you can. But here's the kicker. If they still don't reciprocate, that's not your failure. You can't control their feelings, and the more you cling to the need for them to respond the way you want, the more you'll suffer. Doing your best doesn't mean going overboard. It means putting in the right amount of effort that aligns with who you are. And once you've done that, you let go. Why? Because holding on to the outcome, obsessing over how they're going to react, only keeps you trapped. You start overthinking, questioning yourself, wondering, what else could I have done? But the truth is, once you've given it your best, there is nothing more to do. And that's exactly when people start noticing you, when you're no longer desperate for their approval. Let's bring it back to those movie scenes. In real life, if someone sees you spiraling after rejection, they're not going to feel sympathy and suddenly fall in love with you. What they're going to see is someone who's lost control of themselves. That's not attractive. But when you do your best and let go, you show that you have self-respect. You're not chasing them. You're not clinging to them. You've done all you can, and now you're moving forward. Think of it like planting a seed. You water it, you give it sunlight, you do everything you can to help it grow. But after that, you can't force it to bloom. You have to let nature take its course. It's the same in relationships. You do your best, then you step back and let things unfold. That's what makes people miss you. They see that you're not obsessed with controlling the outcome. You're living your life, confident in your effort. So here's your challenge. Do your best and let go. Drop the comment, "I've done my best," below to signal to the universe that you're ready to release the outcome. You've put in the effort, and now it's time to let things unfold naturally. Because when you let go of control, you gain freedom, and that's when they'll start to notice your value. Now that you've mastered the art of doing your best and letting go, it's time for something that will take your energy to the next level. Something simple, yet incredibly powerful. The next habit is all about shifting the vibe you project, making you someone people can't help but notice and miss when you're not around. Stay with me, because this one can change everything. Number 4. Always keep a smile. Let's be real, folks. In life, and especially in relationships, things don't always go the way we want. They might not text back, plans might fall through, and sometimes the people we care about just don't seem interested. So, what do we usually do? We frown, we sulk, we wear our emotions on our face like a billboard that screams, "I'm upset." But here's the thing, no one is drawn to negative energy. When you let the little setbacks in life mess with your mood, you're giving them power over you, and that's the last thing you want. This is where the power of the smile comes in. It's simple, it's subtle, but it's extremely effective. Keeping a smile doesn't mean you're faking happiness or pretending everything is perfect. It means you're choosing to rise above the little things that can easily ruin your day. And trust me, that's something people notice. A smile projects confidence, calmness, and control. And as we've learned, people are drawn to those who seem in control of their own emotions. Think about it. When you're walking down the street or hanging out with friends, who stands out to you? The person who's grumpy and complaining, or the one who's got a relaxed, easy smile on their face, like they're enjoying life no matter what? Smiling, even in difficult situations, makes you seem untouchable. It shows that you're not easily swayed by external circumstances. Like Buddha said, "Let a man overcome anger by love. Let him overcome evil by good. Let him overcome the greedy by liberality, the liar by truth." A smile in the face of difficulty is your first step toward that kind of inner strength. And here's the beauty of it. Smiling doesn't just affect how others see you, it changes how you feel too. When you keep a smile, your brain starts to believe it. Your mood lifts, your stress lowers, and suddenly, those little things that used to bother you don't feel as important. It's not just a mask, it's a choice to shift your energy. When you radiate that positive energy, people are naturally drawn to you. They'll miss the light you bring into a room when you're not around. Here's a key point. People remember how you make them feel. A smile is a simple yet powerful way to leave a lasting impression. If someone associates you with good vibes, with calmness and positivity, they'll miss that when you're gone. They'll think, "Why does everything feel heavier when they're not here?" That's the power of the smile. It leaves a positive mark on others without you having to say a word. But let me be clear, this isn't about pretending everything is fine when it's not. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control others or external events, but we can control how we react. A smile in the face of adversity shows you're not a victim of life's ups and downs. You're rising above them, keeping your peace, and that is something truly powerful. Now that you know how to harness the power of a smile, you're ready for the next habit, something that'll take this positive energy even further. It's not just about your outward expression, but how deeply you embrace authenticity in everything you do. Stick with me, because this next one is where real connections start to happen. Number 5. Always show your true self. Let's cut to the chase. Nothing is more magnetic than authenticity. In a world where people are constantly putting on masks, pretending to be something they're not, showing your true self is a breath of fresh air. Too often we try to mold ourselves into what we think others want us to be, especially when we're trying to win someone's attention or affection. Maybe you start hiding parts of yourself, pretending to like things you don't, or playing it cool when, deep down, you're feeling something entirely different. But here's the truth. People can sense when you're not being real. And trust me, no one misses the person who's pretending. Stoicism teaches us to live in harmony with nature. Our true nature. That means embracing who you are, flaws and all, without trying to fit into some mold for the sake of being liked. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." When you show up as your authentic self, you're giving people something real to connect with. And in a world full of fakes, being real is rare. That's exactly what makes it attractive. Here's the thing. People are drawn to those who are comfortable in their own skin. When you're unapologetically yourself, it creates a natural confidence. You're not worried about what they think, and that confidence is contagious. Think of it this way. If you're not being real, you're basically offering them a version of yourself that doesn't exist. And if they do happen to be drawn to that version of you, guess what? They're not really drawn to you. They're drawn to the mask you're wearing. So, what happens when the mask slips? The connection breaks. Showing your true self isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest, raw, and real. That's what makes you stand out. When you're real, even your imperfections become part of your charm. People aren't looking for perfection, they're looking for something real. The truth is, we're all imperfect, and it's those imperfections that make us human, that make us relatable. When you show your true self, you're giving people permission to do the same. But why is this so important when it comes to making them miss you? Because when you're real, you're memorable. Authenticity leaves a lasting impact. They're going to miss you, not the version of yourself you think they want. They'll miss the real, unapologetic version that doesn't try to please everyone, the one who stands strong in their own identity. Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken, as Oscar Wilde said. That's what leaves an impression. And let's be clear, authenticity doesn't mean over-explaining yourself or baring your soul to everyone. It's about being aligned with who you are and standing firm in that, whether or not others approve. When you show your true self, the right people will notice and appreciate you for it. Now that you've learned to always show your true self, we're going to move into something that ties deeply into this idea, trusting the timing. It's not about rushing things or forcing connections. Stick with me, because the next habit is all about aligning your actions with the right moments. It's a game changer. Number 6. Trust the timing. Now that you've embraced the power of showing your true self, let's dive into something that is equally important, trusting the timing. Here's the hard truth. You can't force things to happen on your schedule. Relationships, connections, and even personal growth don't operate on some convenient timeline you can control. And that's where a lot of people get stuck. You might think, why hasn't this person noticed me yet? Or, why isn't this relationship moving faster? The impatience creeps in, and before you know it, you're trying to force something that isn't ready to happen. But here's the Stoic truth. You can't control the timing. The only thing you control is how you show up in the moment. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Time is a sort of river of passing events, and strong is its current. No sooner is a thing brought to sight than it is swept by and another takes its place." That's life. Things happen when they're supposed to, not when you want them to. Think about it. How many times have you tried to push a connection only to see it fall apart because it wasn't meant to happen at that moment? Maybe you tried too hard, reached out too much, or made moves before the other person was even ready. When you don't trust the timing, you end up pushing people away rather than pulling them in. But when you trust the process, when you let things unfold naturally, you give them space to miss you, to see you, truly notice you, without all that pressure weighing them down. It's like planting a seed. You don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You water it, give it sunlight, and trust that it will grow when the time is right. Relationships are no different. If you're constantly trying to accelerate things, you're disrupting the natural flow. You need to give people the time and space to come to their own conclusions, to miss you because they've had the opportunity to reflect. Trusting the timing isn't about sitting back and doing nothing. It's about showing up, doing your best, and then letting things progress as they're meant to. It's knowing that if something is meant for you, it won't pass you by. And if it's not meant for you, no amount of forcing will make it yours. You can't control how fast they come around, but you can control how gracefully you handle the waiting. And here's where the magic happens. When you stop trying to rush things, when you let go of that anxious need to make everything happen now, you create a sense of peace. That peace, it's magnetic. People are naturally drawn to those who seem unbothered by the passage of time, who trust that what's meant for them will come. They'll start to miss the calmness you bring, the way you're not rushing, not desperate, just present, just confident. Now that you've learned to trust the timing, we're about to dive into something even more powerful, the strength that comes from solitude. Stick with me, because this next habit isn't just about being alone. It's about harnessing the full power of solitude to become someone they can't stop thinking about. Number 7. Find strength in solitude. We've talked about trusting the timing and showing your true self, but now we're getting into something that might make you uncomfortable at first. Finding strength in solitude. Here's the thing. We're often taught that being alone means something is wrong. You see it in movies all the time. If someone's alone, they're portrayed as lonely, miserable, or waiting for someone to come along and complete them. But let me be clear, solitude is not a weakness. In fact, it's one of your greatest strengths if you know how to harness it. In our fast-paced, connected world, everyone seems obsessed with constant interaction, texting, calling, posting, sharing. And if you're not part of that, it can feel like you're missing out. But real power comes from the ability to be alone without feeling lonely. He who is contented is rich, Lao Tzu once said, and this is especially true when you learn to find contentment in your own company. Why is solitude so powerful? Because it forces you to face yourself. When you're constantly surrounded by noise, distractions, and other people's opinions, it's easy to lose sight of who you really are. But when you step into solitude, you begin to reconnect with yourself. You get clarity about what you want, who you are, and how you want to live your life. And that kind of self-awareness, it's magnetic. Think about it. Who are the people you admire most? Chances are they're the ones who seem secure in themselves, the ones who don't need constant validation or attention. They're the people who can be alone and still radiate confidence. That's the strength of solitude. When you're comfortable being by yourself, you stop needing other people to fill your gaps. And ironically, that's when people start missing you. They realize you don't need them. You're not dependent on their attention for your happiness, and that's incredibly attractive. But solitude doesn't just help you grow. It gives others the chance to reflect on your absence. When you're not constantly available, when you're not always in the mix, people have the space to wonder what you're doing, what you're thinking. Your silence becomes intriguing. They start to miss your presence because you're not always there to fill the gaps. It is better to be alone than in bad company, George Washington once said. When you find strength in solitude, you show that your company is valuable, and not everyone is entitled to it. Let me be clear, this isn't about isolating yourself or pulling away to play some kind of game. It's about learning to enjoy your own company, to find fulfillment in your personal growth, hobbies, and passions. When you can stand tall in your solitude, you become a force to be reckoned with. People will notice the shift in your energy. They'll feel your independence, your strength, and they'll miss the unique presence you bring into their lives. Now that you've embraced the strength of solitude, get ready for the next habit, embracing uncertainty. This next one takes everything we've learned so far and pushes it even further. It's all about navigating the unknown with confidence and grace, and trust me, it's a game changer. Stick with me, because we're just getting started. Number 8. Embrace uncertainty. Now that you've found strength in solitude, it's time to face one of life's biggest challenges: embracing uncertainty. Let's be honest, most of us crave certainty. We want to know how things will turn out. We want guarantees, especially in relationships. But here's the reality. Life doesn't work that way. Relationships, opportunities, feelings, they're all unpredictable, and the sooner you make peace with that, the more powerful you become. When you cling to the need for certainty, you're living in fear. You're trying to control every outcome, and that's exhausting. But when you embrace uncertainty, you're saying, I trust the process, I trust myself, and I'm open to whatever comes. And that, my friends, is confidence in its purest form. As Seneca said, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. You can't control the outcome, but you can control how prepared and open you are for whatever comes your way. Embracing uncertainty doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of the need to control everything. It's about moving forward without knowing exactly what's going to happen next. And that's what keeps life exciting. People are drawn to those who can navigate the unknown with grace and confidence. When you're not clinging to guarantees, you create a sense of freedom around you that others can't help but be attracted to. Now that you're ready to embrace uncertainty, the final habit will bring everything full circle: staying consistent and resilient. This last habit is where the real transformation happens, so stick with me as we push through to the finish line. Number 9. Stay consistent, stay resilient. Now that you've learned to embrace uncertainty, it's time for the final and most crucial habit: staying consistent and staying resilient. This is where the real transformation happens. Let me tell you, nothing in life or relationships is built overnight. You can't show up once, give it your all, and expect everything to fall into place. The truth is, consistency is what separates those who succeed from those who give up. Think about it. The people who stand out, the ones who make an impact, are the ones who show up again and again, regardless of setbacks, challenges, or rejections. As the Stoics teach us, resilience is key. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. Every obstacle you face is not a reason to quit, but an opportunity to grow stronger. Staying consistent means continuing to work on yourself, your goals, and your relationships, even when things aren't going your way. It's about not letting one bad day, one rejection, or one failure throw you off course. Resilience is bouncing back, showing up stronger, and refusing to let temporary setbacks define your journey. The beauty of consistency and resilience: people notice. When they see that you're not easily shaken, that you're committed to your path, they can't help but respect you. And that's when they start to miss you. Not because you've disappeared, but because you've shown them that you're unwavering, grounded, and not reliant on their approval. Now that you've mastered all 9 habits, drop the comment, "I am resilient," to let the universe know you're ready for whatever comes next. You've put in the work. Now it's time to stay strong and keep pushing forward. Congratulations, you've made it to the end of this transformation journey. Now it's time to put everything into action. If you're serious about becoming the kind of person others can't help but miss, these 9 habits are your blueprint. But don't just stop here. Take action. If this video resonated with you, hit the thumbs up under this video if you have not already. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights coming your way. This is just the beginning. Let's keep growing together. See you in the next video.